Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another collaboration between Matter of Opinion and Strategic Eyes. Now we are expecting Rex Wu to come through. He's having a little bit of technical difficulty, so if it gets straightened out, we'll have part of the show. So, you want to introduce? I guess you want to everybody want to introduce themselves.
What's going on, everybody? You got your girl here, Tia, aka that educated lady. Thanks for tuning in.
What's going on, guys? Strategic Eyes for the Strategic Eyes Show. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir. And of course, Walls P. Now, today's episode, you want to give the rundown, Tia, of what we getting into here?
Absolutely. So today we have a big show for you guys. So I'm excited. I don't know about you. But the first one that we're going to go over is, of course, Whoopi Goldberg, her comments, and returning back to The View. She returned, I believe, on Monday. We're going to get into Joe Rogan and his issues with Spotify. We're going to talk a little bit about Awkwafina and some of the hot water she got into for using the blaccent. And then we want to give a little clarification and a little bit of our opinion on Joe Biden's harm reduction plan that he has. So we want to start it off. I want to start off first by addressing the Whoopi Goldberg comments, as well as hey, Rex is
We
here.
got our boy Rex in.
Yo, what's up? Hey, what's up, guys?
Now
Sorry
we
to
really got a
crash
party.
the party. Yeah, sorry, my
Perfect.
internet was having problems. I got home and I had to restart the router and like throw it down a flight of stairs. So, luckily it's all good now.
We all been through that. So
if I cut off halfway through, I apologize.
it's all good. It's all good, brother.
It's all good. You actually came in at the perfect time. So the first topic that we want to get into is the whole Whoopi Goldberg fiasco with her comment that she made about the Holocaust not being about race. Now, who wants to get into this first?
Well, do y'all want to play the clip of the stuff that she said?
Let's get into the clip, just in case anybody forgot.
I bet. So let me cue that up. And I got it queued up to exactly like where she started getting into her, the conversation and what she basically got suspended for.
Well, also, if you're going to do this, then let's be truthful about it, because the Holocaust isn't about race.
Oh, and the reason why this conversation came up was because they said that they was taken To Kill a Mockingbird out of the school curriculum in a high school. I'm not too sure.
There's actually a lot of books.
There's a lot of books that they take out of the school curriculum, which makes me very upset.
Out because of a couple of black students and everything, cringed at it, and they said for I forgot the name of the book that the exact book that they talking about with the Holocaust.
Moss, I think it was. I think that's
Moss. The funny thing is, the people didn't have an issue with the Holocaust itself, but they had an issue with the nudity in it. So this is when she started going into, like, as they was talking about it, that's when she went into what she was saying.
Okay.
No, it's not about race.
It's about a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man. That's what it's about.
But it's about white supremacy.
It's not about
ideal race.
But these are two white groups of people.
Well, that's a black people
see them as white people.
But you're missing the point. You're missing the point. The minute you turn it into race, it goes down this alley. Let's talk about it for what it is. It's how people treat each other. It's a problem. It doesn't matter if you're black or white, because black, white, Jews, Italian, everybody eats each other. So if you're uncomfortable, if you hear about mouse, should you be worried? Should your child say, oh my God, I wonder if that's me? No, that's not what they're going to say. They're going to say, I don't want to be like that.
Well, hopefully.
I don't want to be cruel.
Yeah, most kids, they don't want to be cruel.
No, they don't. And we're living in an era where people are comparing vaccine cards to the yellow stars, where people are comparing vaccinations to what Anne Frank went through. Yeah. So it is necessary for kids to learn about
man's inhumanity to man, however it exposes itself. I have to cut you off.
I just want to say that mouse was banned and it flew to the top 20 of Amazon's rules last week.
Yeah, what was that music?
That was part of the video.
So like, were they basically like, oh God, we got to shut her up. Put the commercial music on. Put it on now.
Yeah. Sandman, come on out.
All right. So
well, let me jump in here. Let me jump in. I want to start off on this one.
Okay.
I feel like, I mean, from my understanding of the Holocaust, it was about race. It was about, well, I mean, I'm sure that on a political level, like in the back rooms, because Hitler was a very intelligent guy. I mean, you got to look at where he came from and also who slighted him along the way, because he wanted to be an architect, and he pretty much blamed the Jewish board of the prestigious architectural school that he wanted to go to as the reason why he was denied entry into the school. But I'm pretty sure in the back rooms, the whole anti-Jewish thing was a ploy to kind of like rebuild the nationalism that was taken away after World War One. But on the ground level, for the people who accepted it, they were running around believing that they were part of a master race. And that was the whole goal of it. The whole goal of it was to exterminate these people because they're terrible, you can't trust them, and they're polluted, they're not pure. And while we're doing that, we're going to try and conquer the world, and we're going to, and these folks in this world need to be governed and ruled by our blood and by our direction, because we are the most intelligent and we're the master race. So regardless of how you look at it, that was a very big.
Oh, sorry. Give me 1 second.
Everything good?
I think there's something wrong with his connection.
Okay.
Yeah, his camera keeps freezing up, I notice.
Oh, okay.
Why he's doing what he's doing? Day of technical issues.
I mean, we're still good. So just finish up my sentence. That was a big theme of the Holocaust, race.
100%.
What do you guys think? I mean, we of course we're waiting for a while, but let's continue. Let's let the show keep going.
Yeah, Rex, what are you thinking?
So I think the message, what we're experiencing here with Whoopi and what she said is a confusion of message of what she's saying, because 100% Holocaust, 100% about, it was done about race, but her message, based on that clip, because that was actually, I'll be honest, that was my first time actually seeing the clip. Her message with that clip wasn't so much that the Holocaust wasn't done out of race. Her message was what we should learn from the Holocaust isn't race. What we should be learning is just the way that humans have historically treated each other, the things that we've done to one another, the horrifying things, and respect the fact that that we as humans are capable of some really am I allowed to cuss here? Oh, nice. We are capable of some really messed up things. Holocaust is one of them. Slavery is another one. Just wars in general just shows that we're capable of some really messed up things. And if we don't look at the things that we do and understand how we came about in history, how we came about accomplishing these things, we're going to repeat them over and over again. So if we, and then if we just look at something and say, oh, that happened only because of race, the message gets lost, the lesson gets lost. Holocaust happened because of race. Hundreds of thousands of Jews, millions of Jews died, yes. But but Hitler could have easily pointed at any group that he wanted to. Say it wasn't Jews that were the dominant. I don't want to say dominant race, but say it was like another group of people. Say it was a bunch of Korean people there in place of the Jews that were doing the same exact thing, right? They were running the industries, they were running the banks. They're doing well in schools. Hitler could have pointed out the Koreans and done the exact same thing, So
but
it was about race, but it wasn't race,
He did. It wasn't just Jews inside of the concentration camps.
100%. It was gay people. It was trans people. It was a lot of people. But again. So I think that drives my point home, which is that too often we focus on race as the only issue, when race is just one thing of many, many things of why things happen.
Well, I think we're getting lost with the word race because Jewish people aren't a race. They're they're ethnicity. You could be Jewish and be white. You could be African. When you take the Jewish faith, and this is in Jewish people's eyes, you adopt the history and the culture. But I don't think she should be canceled for it. But I
100%.
also acknowledge that when you try and marginalize how people perceive their history, I think it kind of you put yourself in a gray area of being disrespectful. So if we start thinking with what you're saying, Rex, we could easily take that to African Americans and say, well, slavery wasn't about race. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I can't speak for you, but I do think slavery was about race. And even if it wasn't just about race, so of course, let me digress. It was about economics, you know, but race was a component to it because they used race to justify enslaving the people. They say, well, by virtue of your race, you're lesser than the rest of us, and this is your stature in our society. This is the best place for you, which is to be underneath us as slaves. So you could imagine how offensive that could be to an African American if you try and take the intellectual route that Whoopi is trying to take and say, well, that wasn't the only thing. Let's talk about these other things. There's pain associated with that historical event. Jewish people have pain to this day that they suffer when they think about the Holocaust. So she shouldn't be canceled. She shouldn't even have gone on a break. In my opinion, she should have been educated. That's where they lose me, where it's like, I'm going to attack you and I'm going to silence you because I don't like what you're saying. But I don't agree with what she's saying, because what she's saying, it's too soon, if we can say that.
Okay.
You're diminishing these people's experience, and you're saying that their viewpoint is the wrong viewpoint. You don't share that historical pain that they share.
Here's where I'm at with it, because I agree with a lot of things that you guys are saying, but what I think happened, number one, I don't think she should have got suspended or anything like that. And before I go on, I just want to say a shout out to everybody that's in the chat. We appreciate you here with the show, here supporting the show and everything like that. So yeah, definitely appreciate you guys. Now, what she said was basically something that I feel was she was like kind of not, I guess you could say, uneducated on, or the way she was speaking in terms of how she was trying to deliver her message. But what I gathered from what she was trying to say, that she misrepresented what she was trying to say, is to her, she doesn't view it as race simply because of the fact that the two people's skin complexion were similar. So, in other words, if because there's a lot of cases of Jewish people during the Holocaust who blended in.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So she's like, for a black person, there were like when the Holocaust was over, it ended. As long as he's like, you wasn't doing your Jewish prayer or wearing the Jewish garbs and stuff like that, you blend in with society. But to a black person, when slavery ended, you're not hiding this skin. So you're identified, so people can still treat you like however. So that's why I'm thinking she's saying in her eyes, she doesn't see it as race, but as people treating another group of people like horribly. So I think that's the message that she was trying to convey, but did a terrible job at it.
I think the part that she gets that really got lost here, especially here in America, because we have a very interesting relationship as far as race and cultures is concerned, because of just how complex our culture is. Because we don't have true American blood. We're too new of a nation for that. We're only 200 years old. And we're just comprised of so many people. I mean, just look at this stream, for example. We're all from all over the place. But the thing is that from other, when you actually leave America, the racism is actually a very, very different perspective. Here in America, we look at racism based on your color of your skin. If you're black, if you're white, if you're Asian, we're all just kind of like lumped into large groups. When you leave, when you go into Europe, they actually care a lot less about the color of your skin. What they care more about is the country that you're from. So, because they're all white over there for the most part. So, so they're not hating on white people or black people. They're hating on, I'm just listing countries here. I'm not saying this is fact, but like they're hating, for example, like on Scandinavian people, on Ukrainian people, and they're hating on German people, or Saudi people. And that's not something that we experience here as much in America, because we're so focused on how we look. Versus in Europe, it's much more about the ethnic group of where people are actually from, where their blood is from. So even though they look the same, racism is treated very, very differently in Europe and Asia as well. Like Chinese, Korean, Japanese, like to most Americans, we all look exactly the same. But over there, like they could, like they'll just like one look at me and go, boom, you're Chinese, and they'll take it even further. You're Chinese, but you're not even China Chinese. You're like from another country, probably American Chinese. Like they can tell, you know. So it's a lot less about the way they look. It's way more about. And the reason I bring this up is because what Whoopi explained over there shows that she doesn't quite understand that race is treated differently. Racism is treated differently in other countries. Like though they can spot a Jew very quickly, yarmulke and garbs or not. Anyways, I just wanted to say that real quick.
That's a fair point. Tia, what's your assessment on it?
See, well, first, let me start with facts and then I'll get into my opinion. So, in terms of facts, if you look at sociological theory, that posits that race is technically a social construct. So, there's no like mathematical equation, there's no formula, there's nothing where you can say this equates race, whether it's you consider it black, African American, Hispanic, there's nothing like that. But it was used so that way people could oppress other groups of people, so they could discriminate against them and even cause, violence and harm, as we saw with the Holocaust. So if you look at it from that aspect, then technically the Holocaust was about race, if you go by that theory. Now, on a personal level, I personally canceled Whoopi Goldberg a long time ago, so I may be a little biased in my opinion about her. Now, whether or not she should have been suspended, should she be canceled? I mean, that's up for debate. But looking at her history, because Whoopi Goldberg isn't even her real name. She changed her name, especially the last name, the Goldberg. I heard one thing of she was part Jewish. Then I read something else that said no, she changed it to Goldberg because she wanted to be deemed more acceptable in Hollywood, because it's like, oh, okay, you're Jewish, they would give you a chance, especially if they saw your name on paper. And then let's also not forget how she stood by Ted Danson's side when he came to the Friars Club roast and had that blackface. And anybody that said anything against him, whether it was Montel Williams or anyone at that time who was, popular talk show host, she was ready to come for the jugular. And for me, being as young as I was seeing that, because it's like, wait a minute, when you're a kid, they teach you certain things are wrong. How was this black woman who's dark like me standing by this man wearing blackface, using the N-word multiple times? And you know what I mean? It's like, to me, when I saw that, ever since that day, I never supported anything that she did. The Color Purple, unfortunately, I had to watch because of school. But anything else, I never supported of hers, because I just felt like, yeah, is Whoopi really for our people or what? So for me, when I heard her make the comment about the Holocaust, now also, let's rewind a little bit. She also made a comment a couple weeks prior to that comment about the vaccine that I don't think a lot of people picked up on. She made a comment like, oh yeah, I know people have, something to the effect of, yeah, the vaccine, I know people feel like, because it's been killing people. And like, she alluded to something, like she actually said it. I forgot her exact words. And people just rode with it. But it wasn't until she made the comment about, oh yeah, the Holocaust wasn't about race, they were like, okay, yeah, we're going to have to suspend her. But she has always been making these types of comments. So to me, especially to hear a lot of black people always like, oh yeah, we're not canceling her and it's this, and I'm sorry, but Whoopi Goldberg has been canceled in my book. That's just my opinion.
But isn't the show called The View, where you got a group of people that just basically give their opinion, so to speak?
It is called The View and you give your opinion, but it's a difference in, I mean, like, we all know what the Holocaust is. That's history. You can't change that. But it's a difference in, okay, you know what, Walls P, I really don't care for that shirt. It doesn't really bring out your features. And me just straight saying, oh yeah, well, blue wasn't meant for black people. It was like, those are two different comments. And to me, the way that she came off, it didn't come off like, okay, this is opinion. It came off like, no, this is fact. Holocaust wasn't about race. She never insinuated, oh, well, this is what I think, the Holocaust can be about. No, she actually came out and stood in her conviction that this is what it's about. And you bring up a good point, because when you are on a show like that, even with us, we have a platform. We have to be careful with what we say. Sometimes we have to be politically correct because of the fact that you have those fact checkers out there. And then also you have to be mindful of the people that you can offend, because let's face it, they have a lot of sponsors who give them a lot of money to sit up there and do what they do, but they don't give them money to be disrespectful or to try to erase history or make uneducated, ignorant remarks.
Maybe all right. So maybe for me, I'm looking at it different because I see it as her saying, the Holocaust wasn't about race or whatever. I didn't view it as her saying something disrespectful towards Jews. I didn't see her denigrating them, calling them out of their names. It was just the fact she thought this was not about race. So I don't see it as she was being disrespectful or saying something that's like, granted, the people can take it in a narrative of being disrespectful, but it's not like she literally called them out their name or something like that.
Yeah,
You
but
get what I'm
why do
saying?
you have
So
to call somebody out in their name to be disrespectful? Like, I can disrespect you in 100 different ways without calling you the N word or without saying something that's derogatory to your ethnicity. I could still be disrespectful to you.
here it is. It's just like saying it's just like saying let me see. I'm trying to think of an example. It's like saying you be like yo Haiti didn't get their independence or whatever. They didn't get they didn't get their independence on their own. America came and saved them. Me as being a Haitian, I'm looking at it as like, no, you're just misinformed on what the like you're just misinformed on it. Now, if you would have been like, oh, those Haitian booty scratchers didn't do this, yada yada, then I'm like, okay, now I feel like you're disrespecting me. But if you just
Okay.
have like, you get what I'm saying, like
I
um
hear what you're
the
saying, but
event
she has a
wrongfully.
history of doing these things.
No, I
Like,
understand.
you're taking one comment, you're isolating one comment from the view, and it's like, oh, it's a matter of opinion. This is what she gets paid to do. Okay, but now let's rewind to all of the other things that she has done in the entire, what, 3-4 decades that she's been in Hollywood. Like, she consistently does these things.
I
So
guess
I
I'm
hear what you're saying with this one comment, but I'm just looking at her history as a whole.
See, I'm looking at this situation, like this one isolated situation. I don't know. Like that's what I'm looking at.
I'm just not a big cancel guy. Like for me, like
Yeah,
I
me
don't
either.
agree with anything that she said ever. Like I'm in that
Mhm.
camp too. But I say fire her. Like fire say like, yeah, you suck. Like I don't
Hmm.
even like the way she moderates. She dominates the conversation. Even though the other ladies ain't saying nothing worth anything, they can't even have a point really. Because if your point doesn't match Whoopi's point, she shuts you down. So I'm in the camp of Whoopi, you suck. You should be off the View and take your co-host with you, but not, oh, you said something that we don't agree with, so now we're gonna cancel you. It's not. It's just not. It shouldn't be. It should be like Whoopi. You got an interesting point, but we don't agree with it. You know what? Instead of bringing up a celebrity next tomorrow who's gonna talk about who's sleeping with who, let's bring up a historian so that they can educate you on what really happened during the Holocaust. And now we turn this daytime television show into something that's actually worthwhile because we can
Mhm.
actually have an educated conversation about a very important topic. How
Mhm.
about we do that? You know what I'm saying? But instead, it's like, oh no, you're canceled. Because guess what? They come for Whoopi, they're gonna come for us too. Even though we don't agree with Whoopi, it's that same notion that came from the Holocaust. First, they come for the tradesmen, then nobody said anything. Then they came for this person, nobody said anything. Now they come for you, and there's nobody there to help you. You know what I'm saying? We can't say, oh, we don't like you, Whoopi, so we're not going to support you. We got to say, listen, the whole notion of canceling people is out of bounds. It's retarded. You can't have an opinion in America anymore. If your opinion just differs from anybody's, oh my God, it's crazy. You say anything about Jewish people, trans people, and
Anyone
some
these
black
days.
people too. 50% of black people, and it's over. But listen, I don't care what anybody say. Regardless of what movements we had in the last 2 years, you can't mess with gay people. You can't mess with Jewish people. They tougher than black people.
Okay. Okay. So Tia, I just want to fact check what you said. Um, because somebody said it in the comment. They
Mhm.
said that, let me pull it up right here. Whoopi walked off when Bill O'Reilly came out on
But how was that fact
that.
checking me?
Meaning on The View, I'm reading it right here. The View, Bill O'Reilly was condescending and disrespectful. 3 days after the blow up with Bill O'Reilly, the woman on The View reflected on the incident with cooler heads and calmer voice, but made it clear they still aren't fans of the Fox News hosts. So yeah, they walked off the set or some. They like walked off the set or something like that because they felt it was disrespectful.
I'm sorry, I'm
You said
confused.
you said she defended him.
No, I said Ted Danson.
Oh, Ted Danson. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. My bad. I
See,
thought it was
look at
Bill
you.
O'Reilly.
You were ready to get
No,
on
I'm
me. You
just
had a
saying. I
point.
thought it was Bill. I thought it was
No,
Bill
I give you
O'Reilly.
an A for effort. It's cool.
Nah, I thought it was Bill O'Reilly. I thought it was
It's
Bill
cool.
O'Reilly.
I give you an A for effort, but try harder.
It's all
But
good,
no,
but
it's
that,
Ted
either,
Danson.
either way, I'm judging Whoopi on this specific situation because she got suspended for this specific situation, not everything in the totality.
No,
That's
I
all.
completely understand, but it's like, I mean, I hear you things should be a teachable moment. I do agree with you. Again, I'm biased because of how I felt, about things that she did in the past. But I just still feel like at this point in her life and in her career, and that strategic mention, how she comes off on the show, there is no teachable moment for Whoopi. She's still going to stand in her truth and have her point, and it is what it is. And she gets paid lots of money to do this. What does she
Let
get
me.
paid? Like what, $100,000 an episode or something like that?
So, what is your take on this? On the comment, Erica Brown and Hey, watch this said.
Where she said that he was her man at the time.
Yeah, Ted Danson was her man at the time.
No, he was. And it was a lot of controversy surrounding that because if I'm not mistaken, I believe he left his wife for her or something like that. And it cost him a hefty penny with their divorce. But still, I hear you. That was her man, but that wasn't her husband. That wasn't her.
Ah, you being
I
biased.
mean, I don't know if it makes a difference, but I still feel like it doesn't make a difference. Wrong is wrong. Like if
It,
my
it,
significant other makes a mistake on of that magnitude, like it wasn't like, okay, you said something wrong, hey, I fact checked you, this is really what was going on. No, you came up there on stage in blackface, constantly dropping the n-word.
Ooh.
Like I'm sorry, that I don't care who you are. If you're my
Yo,
significant other, I can't associate myself with you on that one.
man, you got chicks that stay next to dudes that commit murder.
And you know what, that's them, and
You know what
more
I mean?
power to them.
But
yeah,
nah,
this was kind of before my time, so I didn't know they. I heard about the blackface thing, but I didn't know he was dropping the N word.
Oh
yeah,
yeah, he
I
dropping
didn't
the
know that. Yeah,
n-word.
I didn't know
Can't
that.
And
rock out with that, man.
Montel
Yeah,
Williams
no,
spoke out.
I get it. I get it.
Nah, I can't rock out with that, man.
I get it.
And just because he's slaying a black girl doesn't mean that he down for the
Nah,
cause.
I get it. I get it. I get it. I
Did
get
he
it.
say it with the R or did he say it with the A? I'm just curious.
Yeah,
I think it was a hard R.
Oh,
Alright.
yeah.
shoot.
All right, bet. So I guess yeah, we know Tia is definitely not a fan. So
But like I said, you
yeah,
know what?
nah, but
I'm all for teachable moments. I
yeah,
just have that bias against her because of those things that happened. What was it, like in the
okay,
80s or whatever?
yeah.
But I do hear the three of you and what you're saying. And I mean, at the end of the day, we can apply it to us as well. Like, how
Oh
many
no,
times have
definitely.
I said
Def-
things in videos and then in the comments, you're like, yeah, you need to look at that because they said whatever, whatever. But I get it. All of this can be a teachable moment, but I just feel like I'm still politically correct when it comes to certain things because you just never know who you're going to offend. And again, you are entitled to your opinion and it can be a teachable moment.
Oh
So
yeah, definitely
I
not.
hear you.
Like I said, I agree with a lot of things that all of you guys said, but I just don't agree that she should have been suspended or something like that, or the whole culture and everything. Because I don't believe in cancel culture. Now I believe in if people say, "Hey, we're not going to support you," that's different. But as far as cancel culture, where it's like, "Hey, you could never find work again" and stuff, yeah, I don't believe in cancel culture to that. I don't believe in cancel culture like that.
Hmm.
All right.
All
Anybody
right.
else want to add anything else before we move to the next topic? All right.
All
So
right. So we're going to get into the next topic. So I wanted to see how you all felt about the drama that Joe Rogan got into with Spotify.
should I play the clip for you guys for those who aren't up to speed?
Oh, we're gonna need a
Yeah.
lot of beep bleeps for that clip.
Nah, it's bleeped out. It's bleeped out, I believe.
All
So
right.
we'll see. We'll see. All right. So
Let me,
I'm
let me
playing
put
it
on my
from
hat.
I'm playing it from India Irie's Instagram because she's the one who kind of like started I guess I'll say this movement.
Hey y'all,
Okay.
I'm gonna leave a short message here about why I
Oh, let me screen share. That would be nice, right?
You're fired.
Look, I'm still loining.
you know,
Come on, DJ
message here
Push
about
Play.
why I
Who is that?
decided to ask my music to be
India
played off of
Irie.
Spotify.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
she's
she's a
explaining
singer.
why, because yeah, she wanted her music off of Spotify based off of. She'll break it down.
Check this out.
No white people. It says, okay, take me to this one. And the guy goes, okay. I goes, is that in a good neighborhood? He's like, oh, yeah. Guy barely speaks English. He takes us there. We get out and we're giggling. Oh, we're going to see Planet of the Apes. We walk into Planet of the Apes. We walked into Africa, dude. We walked in the door and there was no white people.
And what he's saying is they went into a neighborhood, and he's referring to the black people as being apes from Planet of the Apes or whatever. There's no white people. Just for context for you guys.
Says, okay, take.
I empathize with the people who are leaving for the COVID disinformation reasons, and I think that they should. I also think that Joe Rogan has the right to say what he wants to say. I also think that I have the right to say what I want to say. So as an artist who builds, Spotify is built on the back of the music streaming. So they take this money that's built from streaming and they pay this guy $100 million, but they pay us 0.003% of a penny. Hey y'all, I'm gonna leave just take me off. I don't want to generate money that pays this. Just take me off. That's where I'm at. And I know that I'm actually, to be honest with you, surprised that my statements were picked up because I thought people weren't really going to listen to me because that's what I'm used to from the industry. But I'm glad that I am being heard, and for that reason, I want to clarify my statements. Again, this is why. Watch this.
The nigger thing. Yes. Saying the word nigger.
I already said nigger. He is just like nigger. Saying nigger. She's calling you a nigger. It's like this boy that he's a nigger and starts calling them niggers. Word nigger. There should be a word like nigger, especially like the word nigger. That's our nigger. About niggers. He says nigger. Guy, a nigger. And then our niggers start saying nigger. I've used the word nigger. Out the word nigger. See nigger. Word nigger. Say nigger and you couldn't say nigger. Most nigger.
Okay, this is not going to
So
be
we know how social
monetized.
media can be.
Yeah,
Things can be doctored.
it's definitely not going to, but it is what it is.
I'm an age restricted on my site before
All
you kill me.
All right.
And before all four of us get canceled.
Yeah, I know,
right?
right?
Yeah.
Well, he's trying to take all four of us down.
I don't want to generate money that people are taken out of context. It's happened to me many times. However, I want to be clear in no uncertain terms. Where I stand on this is that he shouldn't even be uttering the word. Don't even say it under any context. Don't say it. That's where I stand. It's my right to stand there. I have always stood there. I have other feelings about it, but those are nuances that are not meant for this moment. He shouldn't even be saying it. And so the confluence of energies comes into play here. So now we have this person who is offensive to a lot of people who's paid $100 million. Spotify, the backbone of Spotify is the music. So you pay the musicians that are the backbone of your business 0.003 to 0.005% of a penny, and you take this money that you generate over here, because all the rest of it goes somewhere. People are taking out of context. It's happened to the subscription fees go somewhere. So you take this money that's generated over here and you use it to invest in this guy. Do what you want.
All right, let's get into
But
this,
take
man.
me off.
She's not saying nothing much.
Yeah.
Um,
So
I guess
okay.
Sound like she was venting.
Yeah.
yeah.
But okay. So which one of y'all want to go first?
I'll jump in this. You know me,
All right.
I'm a leader. I'm an alpha male. Here we go. Yeah, I think this has two parts because I actually listened to a few. I listened to Joe Rogan, not him directly, but like shows that were like benefiting him, that were like defending him, and they were playing a larger part of the clips. So it's two parts. You have the montage, which is misleading because they're taking stuff where people come on the show saying stuff, and somebody said it in the chat. I think it was I forgot who it was. I'm not gonna look for it because I'm talking.
Yeah.
He likes to parrot what people say a lot to make himself sound intelligent or to stay into the conversation. And you know, that's not even a slight on him because You can't know everything. Like he has doctors, physicists, rock stars, all kinds of people come on his show. There's no way he can know every single topic. So sometimes he'll parrot what somebody says, and maybe they said the N-word, and I was clipped and I was used against him. Sometimes he'll be talking about like a comic book that he listened to with a black guy, and then he's saying the N-word, and he's talking about the story. But so that's one aspect. I'll give him credit for that. I'll say, listen, that's not fair, because they could do that to all of us. And I talk some controversial stuff on my channel. They certainly could do a number on me if they wanted to, and not get the context that my heart is in the right place. You know what I'm saying? But then the other aspect is that story about him going to the hood.
Mm-hmm.
And he spoke about that. And he admitted. And if you listen to the context of it, it is what it is. It's what he said.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And he tries to clean it up by saying, well, at the end of the story, I said everybody was cool. You know, I had a good time. You know, they didn't attack me as I thought they would. You know what I mean? So it's a great story. But what it is indicative is that this is how guys like that talk. This is how a lot of guys that look like Joe Rogan talk in America.
Absolutely.
You know, and we just got a key into him telling a story like how one would talk when you at the bar, or you're in the locker room and there's no brothers around. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he should be canceled. I think people should speak with their money. I'm not for this cancel stuff, because when you cancel people, you just put them in the shadows. Now, do I think that Joe Rogan is racist? No, I don't. But I feel like he said something inappropriate. He has to own it, and he owned it. Some people don't like the fact that he apologized. Like, once again, I wouldn't apologize for the montage. I would not apologize, because that's a hit piece. But they got you with that story you told. The story is messed up. You know what I'm saying? Because you didn't have to tell that story like that. So he's guilty. He's guilty because, you know, you killed. We got you up on the court for 20 counts of murder, and we found you not guilty of 19. Guess what? You're guilty of one murder. You're still a murderer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
See, this is the way I look at it, because yeah, I understand the montage was out of context, like they set him up, so to speak, or whatever. But what I realized too is, just because somebody's telling a story, you're not gonna use a word that you literally know is offensive to a group of people. You are not gonna come on live or something on YouTube and somebody say a homophobic slur. You're not gonna repeat it verbatim, like, yo, and then this person said XYZ. We gotta stop allowing people to use these, like giving kind of a scapegoat, because you see Jews and other races, you can't say nothing disrespectful towards them because you're gonna get canceled. Case in point, look at John Gruden. Do you think John Gruden got kicked out of the NFL because what he said about the black players? Absolutely not. Why'd he get kicked out? Because of the stuff that he said about the women and the stuff that he said about Michael Sams and gay people. Black people, we have no respect and constantly defend people that say disrespectful stuff to us, and then wonder why we don't get no respect. We don't get nothing in our favor because we coddle these people. Now, I'm not going to say it's cancel culture towards them, but stop supporting these people. And I'm happy that the community is speaking about it, because people who don't listen to Joe Rogan, they don't know about this type of rhetoric, right? But now that you talk about this and bring this aware to people, stop supporting him. Make sure other people who do support him know about this rhetoric, so you stop supporting him and you hurt him in the pockets. So I'm all for it. And then the crazy part is, we're talking about, oh, you know, like I don't think he's racist, but how we could turn around and be like how could people turn around and be like, yo, Whoopi should be suspended or whatever, but leave Joe Rogan alone? And he literally said something that was disrespectful to a group of people. What did Whoopi say that was disrespectful to a group of people? Absolutely nothing. All she did was have her facts wrong. You get what I'm saying? So I believe that his pockets should be hurt detrimentally. I don't care if it was 15 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever the case may be. You still said something disrespectful to a group of people and thought nothing of it. And then the part that kills me was when he went to apologize, he literally was like, oh, the N-word is what they use in rap songs. What rapper do you know use the N-word with the hard ER? Absolutely none. but I digress, and that's where I stand with it.
Rex, how do you feel?
I don't even wait before you say something, Rex. I'm sorry. I don't understand this N word with an A and an ER.
I don't
Because
either.
I do,
It's
I
all the
do.
same thing, man.
It
You know,
does.
when I'm gonna go kill this N word, in a rap song, you killing the N word. You know what I mean?
Strategic. Strategic. You know why it matters? Because the N word derives from Ngir, which was an African word that they used to mean king. So when they conquered the Africans, they took the word Ngir and used it as a disrespectful term, but turned it to the word that we know now as the hard ER.
Yeah, I just found that out. Most people don't know
Yeah.
that. What we do know is that that was a word that was used in slavery. So we should not be using that word at all because
I know that.
99.99% of the people who's using that word don't know about the Nigerian word Niger or whatever
Exactly.
it came from. It may have come from, like, I believe you, bro. You're an intelligent brother. It came from, so I'm saying that definitively, it came from the word of kings. But we don't know that.
No.
It was used to oppress us, and now we giving a pass to our own people to say every single day and make it a part of the public lexicon, and then we get all confused when we got to figure out who can say it and who can't say it when none of us should be saying it.
Absolutely.
Period. It's like ER and an EA. Half these dudes can't even spell. R. Kelly couldn't even write.
But here's where I challenge you on that, though, because we say words all the time that mean one thing, and we change the narrative towards it, and it's acceptable in other areas, whatever. And the reason why the word was changed to the hard A anyway was to take the word back
I
away.
don't believe that. I don't believe that. I believe
that's where it's now. It's probably
dudes
changed.
was saying it so much that it was like, oh, this is the excuse to allow people to keep saying it.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? Nobody in the hood was like, yo, we saying my N word.
Over the years, it changed. You get what I'm saying? Over the years, it changed. I'm telling you, man. People,
I hear you, but I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. I don't deny it. I'm not going. I can't be a one-man army against the culture. Because if the culture's saying that, what you saying, and I'm saying something else, I'm wrong. People get to define, like you said, people could define how they want to interpret things. That's you're 100% correct. But I don't agree with it. The N word is the N word. And a dude screaming at another dude F word, he's not saying Nigga. He's saying ER. And when these dudes are smoking weed, got AR-15s and Tommy guns and rap videos talking about they're gonna kill their opposition N-word, they ain't saying Nigga. They saying ER. They talking about killing a dude. So you think they're giving a modicum of respect to the dude they talk about killing? No, man.
All right, let me ask you this,
bro.
Let me ask you this.
Evil words.
Let
We
me
will
ask you this.
never twist around the F word. The F word will always be the F word.
Yep.
Period. It's evil.
Actually, you do twist it around because when you're talking about smashing, people use the F word, so it's a twisted word.
And you ever told that to your wife? Come here, let me F you. No disrespect. I mean to make it personal. I'm still on the YouTube entertainment level.
Yeah.
Just speak to your wife that way. No, I can't go upstairs and say, let me F that. No, this is so even that we're still using that in a negative way because you don't want to say that to a girl you don't respect.
That's a good point. All right, that's a good point.
But then my question is, why is it that as our Black culture, like we always use those words and coin them as terms of endearment? I rarely hear other races do that.
No,
whether
why
it's
they,
women,
why they could use the dictionary, educated lady. Everybody else is using the dictionary, but we got to use gutter words, like you said. Great point. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm passionate about this because here's educated lady making that point. Everybody else is using the dictionary to express themselves. But we have to get a pass using the most disgusting forms of English.
Yep.
Calling out women bitches. You already said the N word 1,000 times, so this is not getting monetized.
Yeah.
Calling out women bitches, using the F word all throughout our vernacular. This is terrible. And educated people like us, aka matter of opinion, is excusing this bullshit.
I'm not excusing it. I'm going against saying, yo, because I know where I stand. I know where I stand. I don't care for the word. But what I'm saying is when somebody used the word and they're trying to make excuses to why they're using the word and try and pander like, yo, own up to it.
But you
Own up
set
to
a
it.
double standard. That's my point. My point is not that you're wrong. Even though I don't agree with you, you're not wrong. We just have a different way of tackling the same issue. The problem is a double standard. You're saying that these dudes can use this word that's destructive. And the people that you gave as examples are the worst people.
I
You
didn't
didn't even say regular dudes in the hood. You said rappers, dude.
No,
People that's killing the culture.
Oh, I see what dynamic you're coming from. Okay, I see what dynamic you're coming from.
It's got to be across the board so that when this guy, Joe Rogan, says it,
Yeah.
we could come at him with full force. That's why Jewish people could come at you with full force, because they have a zero tolerance for anti-Semitic speech. LGBTQ people can come at you with full force because they have zero tolerance for that. Even Asian people, Rex can talk about it, have zero tolerance for anti-Asian speech. There's no exceptions. There's no carve-outs. So it's across the board. If an Asian person said it, they get attacked. And if a non-Asian person said it, or a non-Jewish person, or a non-LGBT person said it, they get attacked.
Yep.
But we're the ones that we want exceptions for everything.
Yep.
Our whole existence is an exception. Do as I say and not as I do.
Yep.
And that's why nobody respects us, bro. Because people don't respect contradictions.
Yep.
You want to get mad when cops shoot your kids? You damn right have a right to be mad about it, but you don't say nothing when your neighbor shoots your kid.
No.
Yeah.
Contradiction.
Rex, I'd love to hear your take on this.
Oh, I mean, my take on Joe Rogan, or my take on the N-word, or my take on like just the
all of
development
it.
Well,
culture.
number one, I want to ask you whatever, because Cedric said something, so I want to see like and the Asian culture, y'all don't use like negative terms towards each other or nothing like that, right?
Oh, the day I said the F word at home, that was the day I found out how hard my dad can hit. Turns out he can hit really hard. Yeah, no, like, well, the thing about like, so it's definitely a cultural issue, like Strategic says, like in the Asian culture, like whether Chinese, Korean, Japanese, whatever, like respect and honor is pretty much like paramount. Like there's nothing more important than the honor of how you present yourself, how you present your family. Like when I'm out there and I'm doing whatever I'm doing, I'm a reflection of my family. I'm a reflection of every single of my entire culture. And if I fuck up, my culture will come down on me.
Absolutely.
You know? So and I think that definitely speaks a lot to like a lot of what the Strategic says, because like a lot of the things that are celebrated in most other cultures are things like your academics, how how intelligent you are, how well spoken you are, can you defend your points, can you, and then versus like I grew up in Brooklyn, I grew up in the hood, you know, and then I was in Staten Island, and then I was in the West Brighton down there, and just like the things that were celebrated in the ghetto culture, like they're celebrating like bitches and hoes, they're celebrating like, you know, like yo like I sold a fifth today, like dude, like what does that really do for your culture? You know, like it's more than just the N-word. It's just like an entire just what are you trying to promote for your family? Like they're celebrating ghetto life. They're like, yo, this is my hood. And I'm like, dog, like your hood is a piece of shit, you know? Like there's people like shitting outside, and you're trying to say that this is good, like and people are talking about like, yo man, I just like they're celebrating being a stick-up kid, you know, they're robbing people, they're stealing from corner stores, you know, and I'm like, what part of any of that needs to be defended? No, you guys need to, like, matter of fact, like here's something that I talk a lot about as far as like, you know, just development of Black culture in America. Prior to like the minimum wage laws, prior to like Civil Rights Act, when Jim Crow was still a thing, one of the things that happened because of Jim Crow was a lot of people in Black communities got together. They created their own banks, they created their own schools, they created their own businesses, and they became very strong, self-sustaining communities. And that doesn't get taught a lot inside history books, and as far as like about like Black culture. They're just taught that, oh, Black people were oppressed, Black people weren't allowed to vote. And I'm like, okay, well, what were the good things that they did? And I'm not defending Jim Crow. Jim Crow, terrible, terrible things. But the things that came out of it are extremely powerful. So to say like, oh, black culture can't do this, that, or the other, I'm like, no. If you look at black culture in America, you guys have done really, really amazing things in the past. You know, when governments got out of your way and you guys were able to band together. I mean, like a lot of things happened to cause the collapse of like just lower income communities. I mean, like Strategic and I talked about this on a interview I did with him. Like, black millionaires are tied with Asian millionaires in America, you know, for second place. Like obviously, white millionaires are the most, but Asians and black millionaires are 8% each of the total wealth group in America. Like, but for some reason, the media likes to focus on like the really bad, ugly aspects and glorify that. So when people look at that, they think that's black culture. I'm like, no, that's not black culture. Like if you look at hip hop in the 70s and the 80s and some parts of the early 90s, hip hop really dope. There was like really good music, positive.
It was messages behind them.
Yeah. Versus if you look at it nowadays, like it's disgusting. Like I'm a student of hip hop culture. Like I love hip hop culture. You know, Africa Bambaataa, like they're like I love it, but like it was just get twisted. And one of the reasons I feel like is because like just to bring this all the way back to the original thing is we focus too much on the negatives. Like when Joe Rogan says the N-word or when Whoopi does whatever the heck Whoopi does, we put them on blast, and then people are like, oh my god, like it's like Whoopi is a representation of black culture. Like no, Whoopi Goldberg is a representation of Whoopi Goldberg, nothing else.
Exactly.
When Joe Rogan says the N-word, yeah, it's freaking disgusting. It sounds horrible, but you know, like, does he deserve to be canceled for it? You know, I don't think anyone should be canceled because I hate cancel culture altogether. You know, and he made a joke in bad taste. All right, I'm not going to defend the joke. It was a terrible joke, but I will put $1,000 on if you go to any one of our histories, look at any joke that we've ever made, you will find some really bad things that have left every single one of our mouths, every single one of us, you know. And the counter argument to that is, yes, he's a person with 100 million following, right? He's the world's largest podcast, but you know, and I get that. You know, when you're huge, you have a responsibility to not say to be respectful with your words, to try not to cancel, to not offend people. But here's the thing: no matter what you say, you're gonna offend somebody. Like I can make a regular statement. Some person out there statistically is gonna be heavily offended by what I'm saying right here, right now, and they're gonna clip it and they're gonna share it with their friends, and it's gonna spread like wildfire. You know, so like I hate the fact that like I actually have a very different perspective on racial slurs counter to everything that I've said. I believe it or not, this is going to sound crazy, but I'm okay with people saying racial slurs. If people want to call me a chink, like I don't really give a damn, you know, because that's more of a reflection on them than it is on me, you know, because because your words mean nothing to me at all. Call me a chink, call me a gook, call me a rice eater. I don't give a damn. You know, so like if someone wants to call me an N-word or the hard R, you know, I'm like whatever, because you're not living my life. You're not, you know, I'm not going to let your words offend me, you know, because I'm not that weak. You know, I've got way bigger problems than the words coming out of another person's mouth. You know, but I don't expect everybody to fall into that mentality, and I get it. So that's something that's specifically me.
Right.
I understand where you're coming from. I don't think Joe Rogan, like you said, I'm against the cancel culture as well. I don't think he should have been canceled, but I do feel like something should have happened. Like the same way, you know, even though I don't care for her, the same way, you know, Whoopi Goldberg was suspended for 2 weeks. I think that something should have happened with Joe Rogan because they claim it was the misinformation about, you know, COVID or the vaccine. And then on top of that, it was him dropping the N-word multiple times. I feel like something should have been done because I do believe in teachable moments. Going back into the use of the N-word, I'm a very prideful person. So I highly doubt you can even find anybody that could tell you the N word has ever rolled out of my mouth, whether it was with the A, the hard R, whatever it was. Because, like I said, I'm a very prideful person. That's how I was raised. And for me, I hate when other people use it in my presence as well. Like, working, with my profession, a lot of times when I hear students say it, I'll even say to them, like, oh, excuse me, please don't use that language in front of me. Or even if they have their pants sagging, I'm like, up, before you come in my office, I need you to pull your pants up. Like, getting back to that pride, you know what I mean? And, even especially when I worked in residence life, we used to tell them, you had to pull your pants up when you come in this office. Young ladies, you have to take those bonnets off before you come in this office, because our office was actually in a house, and on the second floor were the deans. So it's like, come on. And for the most part, they look like me. And it's like, you're a representation of me. I can't have you out here looking crazy, because then it's like, well, wait a minute, what are they teaching you there? Where did you come from? Oh, that's where you represent? Like, no, I'm sorry, I don't agree with the N word. Same thing with the B word. You will not hear me say that. Like, certain things I will not say, because I'm sorry, that's not a term of endearment. It's disrespectful, and I don't want anybody to say it. Now, I understand also, Rex, where you're coming from, where you're like, if people say certain things, you may let it roll off your back. But again, I believe in teachable moments. I do need to let people know, okay, this is disrespectful, and I'm gonna tell you why. Like, I remember one job I had worked at, we had one lady that was always in the holidays. So we were talking about the holiday party, and there's one Asian coworker comes in, eavesdropping, and he waits till we're finished, and he goes, so Tia, you gonna bring some mac and cheese? And I froze, because I'm like, did he just say this in 2020? Like, is this really what's going on? So I waited until we finished, and I pulled him to the side in his office where it was just him and I explained to him why what you just said could be offensive. Now, I know you. I know you don't. I'm hoping you don't mean any harm by this comment, but you have to let people know, because if you continue to let people, even if it's not about you, if you let people make derogatory comments or comments that can be taken offensively, and they never learn, they may not get a person like me who's going to pull them to the side when it's just us to tell them why and have a teachable moment. They may get somebody that's going to cuss them out, may whoop their behind, or something else. So personally, I'm against the N word. That's just me. No matter what term you use it in.
Yeah, and that's 100% fine. Like, for me, like, communication is all about, like, you're agreeing with whoever you're in conversation with. Like, if you don't like the N word, I'm not going to use it around you, because I understand that you don't like it, and that's how things should happen. But as far as, like, the biggest thing that, just to bring this back to Joe Rogan, the biggest thing that bothers me about this is the people that are attacking Joe Rogan. They're not even trying to attack him because they think he's racist. They're attacking him just because he is the current flavor of the week to attack. Like, cancel culture goes after someone new every 2-3 weeks, every month. So, like, they're not trying to do something. They're not trying to do a service to the world by exposing Joe Rogan. They've tried to cancel him before many times, and they just finally found something that stuck, and they're running with it. And it's not because they're trying to do the Lord's work or whatever. It's just that they're just trying to poke at Joe Rogan, and they finally found something. They don't. The people who actually make that clip, I'm willing to bet that they really don't even care about Joe Rogan and the words that he says. Because if they actually really cared, they would actually look into a lot of his videos, even just five of his podcasts, the 3 hours long, 15 hours. That's a lot. That's plenty of content. You're gonna find that, like, this guy has friends of every single culture. This guy talks with everybody, whether they're left, whether they're right, whether they're gay, they're straight, whatever. And he does a lot of things for the world. I'm biased as I say this because I'm a huge Joe Rogan fan. And that's on me. But at the same time, I just look at, like, the amount of value that he provides for the world. Like, he invites people onto his platform, whether they're well known or not, and they have long conversations, and they're able to get messages across in much better ways. Just because, if any of us were to go into CNN, Fox News, whatever, right now, we're getting a 15-second to 30-second soundbite, and that's going to be our representation, when there is no way that that's going to be a positive representation at all. So the fact that he's able to get 100 million people to watch you speak for 3 hours, that is powerful. And I think that's a platform that needs to be protected, whether it's Joe Rogan or someone else. The fact that that type of work happens.
But
Let me
with
do
great
some
power
pushback
comes
on
great
this guy.
responsibility too.
I'm gonna do some pushback on Rex.
All right.
First of all, he doesn't open his platform to anybody because he ain't invite the Strategic Eyes show on his show. So that's number one.
Now we gotta cancel him.
But number two, though, I mean, in all seriousness, all right, the people who created the video is obviously a hit job. We all know that. We've seen them before. This is the age of the internet. They got software that you could type in the word, and then we think the editor listens to 1,000 videos. No software could do that, right? But we do have a video that even he acknowledges this is not out of context. This is not a clip.
Yep.
This is a literal interview that you could play, and you hear this man talking about Planet of the Apes and all this, and stepping into Africa and all this extra shit. That's deep. That takes effort. Now, his excuse was he was trying to, as we say in the islands, juju up the story to make it sound salacious and cool. Well, why would you're a grown man. Why would you want to do that? Why would you feel the need to denigrate a population of people just so you could have a cool story to tell? You know what I'm saying? How do you reconcile the fact? Because I gave him that pass. I guess me and you are the only ones that's giving that, but you giving him a full pass, but I gave him a half pass. I said, I don't want nothing to do with that montage. He might even have legitimately said the N-word for real in that montage. I don't believe it until I see the context of it. But I saw the context of one video, and I heard his apology for that video where he said, it is what it is. That video is not out of context. And the fault lies with me for saying those words that I said that were taken in context and found rightfully to be disrespectful. How do you reconcile what he said? And I don't know if Matt or you want to play that again, but sometimes you got to hear things again to truly dive in deep into what was being said.
Yeah.
So TNT Cycles actually said something on that, and Strategic, I want to hear your response. He said that in the comment section, he wrote, Joe Rogan is a comedian. He does stand up, and stand up is edgy. To which Strategic Eye says,
that's if you believe him to be a comedian. All right, so he's a comedian. He's a mixed martial artist. He's a talk show host. So whenever you say something crazy, you could just choose to be something to cover that up. Nah, man, get out of here. Because when you're selling that story, he wasn't doing Dave Chappelle on a stand-up.
I agree.
He was talking to his homies. He was telling his experience on going somewhere. He didn't add, if he's a comedian, I'm going to defend him, just like I defended Dave Chappelle. Just like defending so many white comedians. You know, I don't have a problem with white comedians say the N-word. Because if you're saying in the context of stand-up on a stage and it's a set and it has a purpose, okay, it's comedy, it's entertainment. This guy's sitting there just having a regular Joe Rogan conversation. There's no sound bites, there's no laughing track. Come on. So now if I'm a comedian, I have a pass to say anything I want and really be hateful, but you can't ferret that out. You can't hold me accountable because I can say, well, I am a comedian, so I could, you know. So is there a point in your life when you just being a human being?
The thing I don't understand is, out of all the colorful words that could be used, why is it that people, especially people of other races, always resort to the N-word? Like, there's no other word you could use to get your point across or for emphasis. Like, we always got to go to the N-word. Like, what is that about?
Because but his statement was even worse than that.
Yeah, it was worse, but
he said apes.
Yeah.
In Africa. He went deep.
Yeah.
Seen from a Planet of the Apes.
He freaking went Darwin on us.
Yeah.
That's where all that monkey stuff come from Darwin. He put us on a different evolutionary track. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Not even human anymore. Like
exactly.
Don't get me wrong. I don't want nobody to take me out of context. I said let's not cancel him. I'm just saying, let's hold them accountable. Let's not say, oh, he got 100 million people who watch him. So freaking what?
Yeah.
Kim
or my
Jong
favorite, he has
like
black
20
friends.
million people that watch him every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, I got a couple thousand people that watch me allegedly, and they don't agree with me all the. You know, like doesn't give me the right to say whatever I want to that little bubble. You know, and half the people that listen to me don't even agree with me. I don't know. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Which is fine because no one's ever going to agree with everybody on 100% of everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
like I said, the way I look at it is the reason why I agree with getting on him, not canceling, so to speak, but getting on him is because
Mhm.
a lot of times us in the black community let
Mm.
people get away with stuff like that, be saying disrespectful things about the black community and giving people passes and stuff. And I'm not in agreement with that. Now, granted, I know for a fact the black community, we in the black community, we have things to work on,
A
but
lot.
at the yeah, a lot to work on. But at the end of the day, no other group have people just outspokenly say disrespectful banter without consequences like that. But here you can say whatever it is about a black person or whatever, and you don't get canceled. I'll be surprised if they actually do demonetize the video for having him say the N word.
Mm.
I'll be surprised if they actually do make it 18 or demonetize it.
You
'Cause
might
that's
get
how,
They
more
actually
subscribers.
did take down a lot of his videos where he said
Yeah,
the N word.
but
okay.
you wanna cancel a dude that says that 15 years ago?
No, I didn't say cancel him.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a fan of cancel. What I'm
Okay.
saying is basically let him do his thing.
Right.
But if you find what he say is offensive, then you have every right to not support him.
Well, that's
100%.
automatic, and
That's
that's what
all.
I'm saying. I
Yeah,
say
that's
that
all
too.
I'm getting at. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. I'm not a fan of cancel culture. No,
Right.
Mm.
I'm not a fan of cancel culture. Not at all. Yeah,
All right.
even when you made the video Rex, whatever. Like I told you in the comments, I was like, "Yo, I'm not a fan of cancel culture at all.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a fan of that." But people do have the right to be like, "Yo, you know what? I'm not supporting you," and keep it moving.
100%, and that's the way it should be done, because
Exactly.
at the end of the day, we are a representation of the marketplace, and when you put something out there, a product out there, in his case, his product is his personality, his show,
Yeah.
the marketplace is going to react to it in a very specific way. So
And I love
try to force other people to follow into your market ideology is not the right way to get it done, which is again why all four of us don't like cancel culture.
yeah.
But
Mhm.
but like at the end of the day, like the market is going to decide what the market is going to decide, And as of right now, actually, his viewership has actually skyrocketed since all his
Of course.
controversy.
Oh yeah.
So
Well, he got a new contract for 200 mil.
did he really?
Yeah, he got a new contract from Spotify.
Oh
Wow.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they saw all
Yeah.
those new views are coming in. They're like, oh, we want some
Yeah.
Yeah,
more.
more power to him.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not feeling all these stupid ass has been recording artists, trying to tell us what to do. Like, get out of here, man.
Yeah.
Who is Indie Irie? I haven't heard about her in a million years. But
Another thing that got me was when she broke it down. We're getting paid pennies. It's pointed, but ma'am, you still got your music on there. But
yeah,
you still like, come
No,
on.
the reason why she made, no,
here's the
but,
reality
but
of like
no. Add context to it. The reason she made the video is because she wanted to get her music taken off, and Spotify was giving her a hard time. So
right.
let's not take that out of context, saying, "Yeah, ma'am, your music on there." She's trying to fight to get it off, and they giving her a hard time.
Well, here's the reality. Like most music artists don't even own the songs that they create. So say I sign up with Matter of Opinion Recording Studios, and I record music in your studio. I don't own that music. You own that music.
Yep, you give it to another artist.
So then you go to Spotify, you go to iTunes or whatever. Say, hey, I have this music from Rex, and we work out a contract.
Mhm.
I get paid that 3 pennies on the dollar or whatever. You get paid your cut. They get paid your cut. At the end of the day, that music doesn't belong to me. It belongs to you. So most music artists on Spotify, that is not their music. It's their voice. They created it, but the legal rights are not with the artist. They're with the recording studio, and that's true for 99% of artists out there, especially like B-list celebrities.
Yeah, yo, Rex. That's kind of like how Comedy Central ain't owned Dave Chappelle's name, and he had to fight for it to get his name back. So if he did any performances or shows, he couldn't use Dave Chappelle. He
100%.
settled and wind up getting his name back.
The man didn't own his own name for 5 years.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Exactly.
That's
All right.
crazy.
So
Well, just to switch gears a little bit,
Yeah.
I wanted to also bring up the Awkwafina whole bit because a lot of people were getting on her, and I want to go to you first, Rex.
Wait.
Really? Why?
Educated lady. What was the term you used? Avi, and what did that mean?
African American Vernacular English, aka a blaccent.
Try saying that 5 times in a row.
Also known as Ebonics, if you
Yeah.
want to break it down even more.
Oh
So
boy.
people got on her about that. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe she was nominated for like an NAACP award.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, which a lot of people, which I think actually kind of started it, and then it kind of snowballed from there with people digging into her history and saying, oh, she's been using this black scent for years. That's how she became famous. And they kind of sort of wanted to cancel her, but she really didn't give an apology. It was more of like a justification of
Let,
why she used it. But I wanted to hear your
let me
point
let
of view.
can I go first, please?
Go
Uh,
ahead.
all right. So here's the thing. Like, I have nothing against her doing what she doing because if that's how she talk, that's how she talk or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? So whoever you hang around, that's who you're gonna be. Because think about it. You have black women who have Spanish friends that are Spanish women, whatever, and they talk exactly like how black women do. Nobody say nothing. You get what I'm saying? So, but the problem that I have is in her case how she won an award from the NAACP or whatever. Like so many times we don't protect like our own thing. Case in point, do anybody know about Blurticon? It's basically a black comic convention. Now, they say like the people say, it's not a black comic convention, it's for everybody. But when you go on their website says totally different. Like, yo, this is a black comic convention, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
the last year a white woman won the best costume for Blurticon. And the funny thing is, she wasn't
Wow.
even the best. She didn't even have the best costume whatsoever. There was people, if you go online and research it, there was people that had like crazy costumes that like you like, yo, they put work into that. But yet this woman won. And it's so many, like you will never see a black person win anything in a Jewish or white club or something like that. But we always wind up giving other ethnicities like giving basically giving up our own things, our own little things that we got going on. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the only issue I have. But as far as like her, using slang and stuff like that, for me, that's mere bag of shells, water under the bridge.
Uh-oh, we lost Rex.
His internet. Oh man, I should have let him go first, huh?
Yeah. It's like coincidentally on this
Yeah,
topic.
He's offended that you talking about
I know,
Awkwafina, man.
right? Like, man, all right, I'm done. I'm done with
How
these
dare you.
That's
a-holes.
right. So that, well, in the meanwhile, until he comes back, so do you think that, okay, so Walls P, you're okay pretty much with this black simp, but let me ask you, strategic, do you think that this is a form of cultural appropriation? Do you think it's not that serious? Like, how do you feel about it?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't want that culture. So if she want to talk ghetto and gangster and AV or HD, AV, high definition AV, you know, I don't care. She was born in Stony Brook. She grew up in Forest Hill, Queens, a hood. It's a little eye because St. John's University over there, but they get busy over there. And then she went to LaGuardia High School, which is a good school for arts, but it's also a ghetto school. I used to date a girl there. And right across the street from it is Martin Luther King, which is one of the most dangerous high schools in New York City. Whereas they used to let the LaGuardia High School kids out 2 hours early
Wow.
than the Martin Luther King kids, so they could give the LaGuardia artsies kids time to get off the block before they
Wow.
let out the gangsters.
There he is. All right,
Really
go on.
own the Ebonics stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because if you white and you grow up in the hood, or you Asian, you grow up in the hood, is that not your culture too?
Mm.
Now, if she's only doing it when it benefits her to make money off of the culture, then that's a problem. But we need to vote for that with our money.
Yeah.
You know,
I stopped
instead of
supporting it.
going Oh wow, his camera went out. It says high temperature.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, you spent all that money on that camera, bro.
He bragged about it
Better
too.
turn that AC on.
He was so proud of himself.
No, the
topic
was too hot.
Audio
Exactly.
only now, man.
You know what? It's contagious because Rex, when you had the internet issues, then all of a sudden he had them. So it's there we go. We lost the
No,
road.
it's because I had it plugged up while we was on. That's why.
Yeah, my shit plugged up too.
Yeah, okay, we'll go with that.
Yeah, my Sony plugged up too. It ain't over
Yeah. And while it's recording, I'm sitting up here messing with the settings. So leave me alone, damn it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Let a brother
See, now you
live.
know
Let
how
a
I
brother
feel.
live.
All right, so we lost Rex again. So I guess we're not getting his opinion on this topic.
See, my camera was like, y'all got jokes, I'm kicking them off.
Oh, there he goes. You know what, Rex? Why don't we get your opinion before you get booted off again?
Yeah.
Okay. Whoa. So, I mean, I don't know what was said, so I can't really speak to any of that. All I can say is, I don't know Awkwafina personally, but I know people who know her because, again, Asian community up in New York. She's actually from Queens, believe it or not. So she actually grew up in like New York City, very close to hip hop culture in the 90s and 2000s when it was at its peak before it became whatever the heck it is today. So I'm not saying I don't know her personally. I never heard her talk IRL, but from what I understand, you know, like, hey, like people are like, yo, like that's how she talks because that's what she grew up around.
Yeah.
I can't verify that. But, you know, like, again, I can say this as an Asian guy who grew up in Brooklyn, who grew up in Staten Island, who grew up in New York City. I'm a student of hip hop culture. Again, like I spoke a very specific kind of way, which probably would have offended a lot of people, the same people that she's offending, back in my teens and 20s, you know, like, and I'll be honest, I'll even answer a question that somebody asked in the comment section. The N word with an A rolled out of my mouth a lot. More times than any of us can count, you know. And part of that is just because, like the people I hung around, I hung around Black, Puerto Rican, Dominicans, people who grew up in the ghetto, people who grew up in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. Sunset Park, Brooklyn in the 90s, it was not a friendly place. We was known for shooting cops. Like it was not a good place to be. So as far as Awkwafina is concerned, there's a couple ways that I can go about this. She grew up in New York City under hip hop culture in the 90s, in the 2000s, when hip hop was at its golden era, and everybody in the world wanted to imitate what they saw in hip hop culture, right? If you actually look at like Korean pop music from the 90s and 2000s, you're gonna see like they have so many references to Destiny's Child. There's a K-pop girl group called SES. They're like the Korean versions of Salt and Pepper, like word for word. I mean, not Salt and Pepper, of TLC. Like they have their own version of Scrubs. There's a Korean boy band called God. They're really talented rappers in Korean. Like I'll even send you guys like some of their videos. You're gonna be like, holy crap! Like there's references to hip hop culture in there. So that's the very first thing. Like she grew up in that environment in that era of time. The second way I can approach this is the second way I can approach this, she's a professional actor. When you're an actor on a movie set, you're playing a specific role. I forgot his last name, but the guy who plays Rick on The Walking Dead, he's a British person. When he speaks, he has a British accent. When he acts, he is a Southern American. Is he not allowed to play a Southern American because he's British? The guy who plays Wolverine, he's Australian, playing a Canadian. He's in a role. When you see an actor on screen, they're playing a role. Leonardo DiCaprio, he plays a racist son of a bitch in Django. Is he racist in real life? I don't know. I don't know the guy, but I'm willing to bet no. You know what I'm saying? So that's the second thing. The other another angle we can approach this with, like there's like so many angles.
Even Idris Elba.
Yes, perfect. You know, like
Yeah.
So
so I mean, like listen, like you're gonna. The other thing is, people are saying, "Yo, she's stealing black culture." Listen, hip hop was created in the South Bronx by blacks and Puerto Ricans and Dominicans. Hip hop culture is not black culture. It is urban culture. It was created by a huge group of people. Yes, a lot of them were black, but if you look at the original people, the pioneers of hip hop, a lot of them were Puerto Rican as well. A lot of them, and Dominican. You know, so to say that someone is and like when you say like black culture in America, and you're trying to show it as like hip hop is something that people created in the hood. That was hood culture. Black culture should not be hood culture. I already covered this like 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like we shouldn't be celebrating hood culture at all. Like black culture, if you look at like the history of black people, what you guys did in Africa, you know, the richest person in history was an African, Mansa Musa. If you adjust his net worth for today, over $400 billion, richer than Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk combined. You guys created you guys had mathematicians long before the Greeks did. You know, a lot of the amazing things that come out of this world came from Africa. Not a single one of that has to do with any of what people say is black culture today. I'm like, yo, you guys are like kings. Like, celebrate that. Hip hop culture, you know, and queens. Sorry. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you guys have so much to be
most
proud
black
of.
people don't celebrate this stuff. It's just the inner city stuff, you know. Like, listen, when I was in the bubble of Harlem, I thought that was the black community, and you know, it took me to just by happenstance meet a girl on the corner, and she give me her number, and then I was like, well, where you live? Well, I live upstate. So now I'm driving up there and I'm experiencing a different type of culture with all these working class, middle class black folks who don't engage in that, you know. So I agree with you 1000% though, you know, that and I said it too, like she can have it. I don't want it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, but at the end of the day, I think that we give her a pass because, you know, listen, first of all, I will digress though, like Puerto Ricans and Dominicans are black because we do be up in that ass, you know what I'm saying? Every black guy got a Puerto Rican or Dominican.
If you check the history, yeah, they're black.
Yeah, they do have black in them, but you can ask them, some of them will say differently. But the bottom line is, I'm half Dominican, by the way, too, so you can't come for me because my father is legit Dominican, straight up.
Okay.
Yeah, dímelo.
And you already know Haiti and Dominican Republic share the same island. They may not get along. They may not get along, but trust me, you got people that crept up in somebody's bed. Like, how you get here?
But like she's from you know, the hood, and if that's her reality, then you know you can't take that away from her. I got an intern that works in my office in a precinct. We share space. She does something different, but we share space, and she's a really smart Asian girl, straight up Chinese, and she's catto. The thing is, she's super smart, and she's gonna be the leader of tomorrow. You know, she's in honors classes, she's in an accelerated program, so she's gonna finish school in 3 years and all that bull crap. But she's from the hood, and she talk like she's from the hood. So I'll run and joke with her permission is I call her Shaniqua. You know what I mean? So it's like you know, is she not authentic? Because she going to home in the projects, and her boyfriend is a black guy. You know, so is she not authentic when she talk like that? That's all she know.
Yeah.
You know what I think the main problem that people have with Awkwafina is these people are turning around saying, "Oh, look how she turned it off and on," and you know, 1 minute she's acting black, but I say to them people, how many times you talk slang, but then when you go in for a job interview, you talk proper English like a mother. You get what I'm saying? So it's like,
yeah, we all do that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Professional.
So I'm like,
we did that 100 times in this conversation.
Yeah. So I'm like, you attacking her for something like that. She turned it off and on. Well, everybody in America does that. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's stupid. It really, really is dumb. I think the bigger issue is what you said at first, Wally.
Yeah.
The NAACP. And I'm not one of those people who say, well, white people can't get that award. What I'm saying is that there's enough awards for everybody, white, black, whatever. And because white folks are the dominant race in this country by magnitudes. 40 million black people, almost 300 million white folks, even less Asians. Spanish people kind of beating us, but we do some fucked up shit by putting all Spanish people under one umbrella when they're not really under one umbrella. A Mexican has nothing in common with a Puerto Rican. They don't even like each other. You know what I mean? So we put that number together, and you put that number together, then yeah, there's a lot of them. But the bottom line is that this is something that's made to acknowledge the struggling, up and coming, or notable African Americans who don't get the same exposure by the mainstream media. What's wrong with keeping that?
Facts.
There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? When you're the dominant race, you don't have to have that. You could. I mean, we can have a good conversation about it because there's a lot of people who will disagree with it. We'll have that conversation. But right now, we're talking about what exists right now.
Exactly.
So there's no reason why, when you have so many young actors who are African American, so many young actors in really big shows, like those young actors that do Power. I don't even watch that show. They doing it.
Yeah.
Popular show.
Yeah.
Why don't you grab one of them and acknowledge them? And a lot of those kids have very crazy stories.
Yes.
They come from the inner city, they come from poverty, and now they're working, successful actors. Why don't you acknowledge them? Why acknowledge Awkwafina? Awkwafina is accomplished. She deserves to be acknowledged, but I'm pretty sure there's a really nice Asian society that could acknowledge her, or she could compete in the larger group, that Oscar, that whatever, that everybody has to compete for, and get that acknowledged in there. Why do you have to do that in the NAACP?
Yeah,
that's my question.
That's the only thing I had with it. Oh, before you go on,
I'm with you
educated
guys.
lady, I want to give Skinny Man Thoughts a shout out. That's my guy right there. Can't wait for him to come out with his podcast soon. So yeah, shout outs to Skinny Man Thoughts. All right, go ahead, educated lady.
All right, so just to switch gears a little bit,
You didn't give a little bit of a take. Oh, so we covered it well enough. You good?
I mean, okay, yeah, I can talk
good?
about it. I mean, you all pretty much summed it up so nicely,
so
but I
then
mean, I definitely agree with you
oh man,
on what you're saying. And you think it's gonna be another half an hour of me talking?
Go
That's
ahead,
all right.
say your piece. Go ahead.
I got
say your
you.
thing, say your
No,
thing.
it's fine. We can switch gears. It's fine.
I love messing with her, yo.
Just to switch gears a little bit, I wanted to touch base on the Joe Biden harm reduction plan because it's been a lot of misinformation out there and a lot of jokes and stuff like that about pretty much people saying, especially a lot of the Republicans are pretty much saying like, yeah, Biden wants to fund crack pipes and he wants to pass it out to the community as a form of racial equity. So, Wally, I don't know if you have a clip or a picture or anything that you wanted to show
Why
up.
not? I was just gonna read. I was gonna read something from online what it is or whatever. But I mean, we could just get into it, whatever. The bottom line is everybody was running with it, saying that he was giving out crack pipes and everything like that, but nothing in the bill itself say crack pipes.
Yeah.
But people took that narrative and ran with it. Now they are giving out syringes, but it was nothing about crack pipes. So I think that was just like a hot topic that somebody said and caught wind of. So then it just started spreading like wildfire. But yeah,
now we've been giving out syringes for decades.
Yes,
and that's for all our health because it stops the spread of AIDS and hepatitis. So that's not even just in America. That's globally. All right. So I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, and I mean, look, these drug addicts, they're gonna do what they want to do. They're gonna do what they're gonna do anyway. So it's just a matter of if you're gonna do it, why not do it in settings where you have a least chance of overdosing, least chance of having dirty syringes and stuff like this, in the eyes of healthcare professionals. And another thing that another thing I read pretty much is that it actually works. It
Mhm.
really works. Now
Yeah.
there is communities where it actually made it worse. Now, strategic, you probably could attest to it. Like it affected Harlem bad,
What are
correct?
you talking about exactly?
Like as far as like the what's the word I'm looking for? The
Like those injection sites?
yeah, those injection sites.
All right. I mean, I read a story about Harlem. Remember, I don't live there anymore, so I don't have
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
details. But like,
yeah.
I have read it that De Blasio had instituted these sites, and people were complaining because a swath of drug addicts were there. They're
That's what
going in
I'm
the area, and
saying.
that was their major complaint. It wasn't
Yeah,
that
yeah.
people were using drugs on the streets. It was like, hey,
Oh,
all
okay.
these drug
Yeah.
addicts are coming here. So that falls back to that classic thing you learn in sociology class or criminal justice class called NIMBY, not in my backyard. If you open up the injection site, they're going to congregate there because that's what it's supposed to be. But we
Hmm.
already I have injection sites already where I work at, and it's called the Project Staircase, you know. And I'm the nurse that has to issue the Narcan when I'm doing my interiors and I see these people convulsing or
Hmm.
non-responsive laying on the ground. So I 100% agree with this, regardless of who does it. You know, you got to think about it. It's going to happen anyway, rather.
Mhm.
At least let it happen in an environment where, one, you can make sure it's done safely.
Hmm.
Two, you can have the resources there to get these people help when they want it, because it may not be a high percentage, but there's
Yep.
going to be a percentage of people who walk in there without the crap pipe saying, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Get me off of this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And people say, well, you helping the crackheads and all that. What we doing right now ain't working. It ain't working in conservative states that have the worst problem with meth, with trailers blowing up. It ain't working in liberal states where they just let the crackheads go and don't hold them accountable for nothing, so they just go back on the street to steal. Either way, it's not working. So we got to start thinking outside of the box. And one thing I don't like about the America of today that's starting to piss me off, because a lot of people think they're um, patriots and this, that, on both sides.
Hmm.
We're not listening to the founding fathers. They said that the states are the laboratories of our democracy. You're not supposed to be afraid to experiment. What's the
Hmm.
problem with trying something new? If it doesn't work, you just do away with it next year. We do it all the time.
But the crazy thing is, though, it's been working at places where the sites are up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know what I'm
and
saying?
and I would not trust anything that happened under the former mayor of New York City, De Blasio. He was trash.
Mhm.
So if it's screwed up in Harlem, it's because he probably did it. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But it works.
Exactly.
It worked in Europe for decades.
Mm.
They've been doing that in Europe.
It's kind. I mean, it's not exactly on point with it, but it's kind of like like you tell kids and stuff, yo, don't have premarital sex. It's gonna spread diseases. You can wind up getting pregnancy out of wedlock. So, but you're like, if you're gonna do it, get a condom
Mm.
because you're gonna do it anyway. So at least protect yourself. So
Mhm.
in this case, at least protect yourself by going to these centers so you make sure everything is done correctly and it's regulated.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your take, Rex?
I'll be honest. I definitely don't know enough about this topic to speak intelligently on
Okay.
this. So like, I don't want to drag the conversation out, but like
All right.
everything that like the strategic said about like it being done in other countries, like I mean, I've read that too. I've that especially like in Germany, I think was the first ones to actually implement this program. I could be wrong, but
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I
um,
know Canada does it too.
mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, so and it has shown that it definitely does work. And as far as like the government implementing it, I'll be honest, I'm not huge. I don't trust the government, so anything that they do makes me nervous. But there's intelligent ways to execute projects. I just hope that they execute this one intelligently as well.
Mhm.
And Rex does not have COVID-19, Victor. I had
Cancel
it.
him. That's
Oh,
racist. It's cancel Victor.
yeah. See, educated lady, what's your take? What's your take on it?
I understand what the purpose of the plan is. I think for me, I just wish people would understand what substance use disorder really is, and like it's something that yes you can treat, but it's something you can cure. And there's many different ways that you could go about it, whether it's like Biden's harm reduction plan, or is medication, or et cetera, et cetera. But I wish that more people were educated on exactly what it is, because the moment you take those drugs, it's a chemical, and it
Yeah.
alters your brain. So it's not like, and I feel like, again, once people educate themselves and really understand like what it is and how it affects people, how specific drugs affects the brain, and how people function and stuff like that, I feel like it also needs to be some more you know figuring out the root cause of why a lot of people even turn to drugs, like getting more of these programs in there into these schools, and educating our kids, like stuff like that. So I hear what you're saying, Wally, where it's like, okay, you can't just tell them, all right, well, don't have sex, because they're going to do it anyway. But it's like, okay, but if you're going to do it, okay, we're going to pass out condoms, but you're still giving them that education to let them know, okay, this is what could happen. Like, I don't know about you all, but I know at, my high schools, and even undergrad, they had those pamphlets. This is what gonorrhea looks like. This is what chlamydia looks like. And,
Yeah.
I feel like, I'm sorry, we need to go back to those days. Like, let people know, like, hey, you try this drug. This is what drugs would do to your brain. And remember how they used to crack the egg and you heard it sizzling. Like, I feel like we need to go back to that just to educate people, because a lot of people are just assuming, like some of you have said, like, oh yeah, they're passing out crack pipes to these crackheads, and it's like, no, and that's actually harmful language. Let's give them respect, because again, it affects their brain. They can't control how they may behave or the things that they do once they're on it. And the other thing too that kind of bothered me, just as a side note, a lot of it is we're actually making these memes about Biden's son, Hunter, because he used to be on drugs. And I just feel like, if you're gonna attack somebody, attack me. Don't go for the kid, especially when you know that the person has a previous issue with drugs. Because I don't know where he is in his sobriety, but that could easily turn someone back to whatever his substance was, just constantly seeing that plastered all over social media.
And you know
So,
what's? Oh, go ahead.
well, two things. If they're gonna attack Biden's son, yeah, that's stupid to attack his you attack the fact of all the other corrupt things that he's done. We got a good case for that. TNT Cycle says that that he has seen the kit, that it's been broadcasted out there, and it has crack pipes and meth pipes in there. But I would dare say it doesn't matter. Who cares? Because once again, I think a lot of the issue is this, and I'm not talking about TNT Cycles right now necessarily. I'm just talking in general.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of ignorant people in this world. This is to piggyback off of Tia, that don't understand these things and speak about them definitively.
Yeah.
If you know anything about substance abuse, it is not a choice. It was a choice your first time you used it.
Yeah.
But once it changed that brain chemistry, some of these folks cannot even be happy anymore because their dopamine levels are all messed up.
Exactly.
The only time they feel something as a human being is when they're high. Like, unless you experience that, you can't judge it. A lot of these folks who are addicts because, they were abused when they were children. They were raped. They were this. They were physically abused. It is what it is. And then TNT Cycle says that he's an ex-addict, and we appreciate your sobriety.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Definitely.
But that doesn't mean anything either, because your experience is your experience. Your experience is not going to be somebody else's experience. Your reason for using the drugs is not the same reason as somebody else used the drugs. If you use the drugs for recreation, it might be an easier out for you
exactly.
than somebody who's using it to escape demons and trauma in their past. You know what I'm saying? And even if you have trauma, your trauma is not the same trauma as somebody else, and your physical, mental, and spiritual constitution will make you deal with that trauma differently. We are human beings. No two human beings deal with anything the same way, and that's why it's important not to judge. And you would not have wanted somebody to judge you when you were at your lowest moment, and because people didn't judge you and instead uplifted you and believed in you, you can now be in this chat the man that you are, dropping the knowledge that you're dropping. We can't forget where we come from. Never.
And it's a great thing that you said too, strategic, is that you saying, like, just because his experience does not relate to another person and how people get on drugs for different reasons. That's an excellent point because, like you said, if you're using it recreational, you could just get off, but you can attest to it. Look at the drug addicts that wind up going to jail. Don't they have like a special unit to deal with them going through withdrawals because it's that bad, right?
Mhm.
You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
if you're just recreational using it, you get off it. You're like, all right, cool, I'm fine. But those who are drug addicts, you actually need them to be in medical care for them withdrawals that they're
Mhm.
going
Mhm.
through. So you know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? Different strokes for different folks.
Absolutely. And when you're also on those drugs, your brain gets like you get the same arousal as you would, let's say, if you tasted a piece of chocolate or if you smelled that fresh brewed cup of coffee first thing in the morning. Like that's why I say a lot of people need to educate themselves on exactly what it is. Let's stop using that harmful language. Let's stop calling them crackheads. Let's stop,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? Like, let's stop calling them drug addicts. Let's stop, because at the end of the day, you're dehumanizing them when you use those terms. And I feel like we also need to put some more mental health services out there in our communities and our schools, especially right now with the pandemic. So many cases have gone up in terms of alcoholism, domestic violence, et cetera, because of this pandemic. And again, I feel like people saw like certain things they nitpicked from his plan. And like you said, they put it out there. Salacious is going to get viewers and it's going to get people talking like, oh, yeah, he's passing out crack. Okay, but let's break it down. What exactly is it? What is he doing? Why is he doing it? Okay, because this is an issue, in terms of overdosing and stuff like that. And I feel like people don't want to do that. It's like they're talking out the side of their mouth, but it's like unless you've dealt with it directly or you educate yourself on it, you really don't know what these people are going through who are on it.
Facts. Facts. You got any last things you gotta say on it, Rex, or are you
I,
good?
I mean, I mean, I was just wondering, like, this Yalamix, I butchered that name. Uh, posted something. I apologize. Posted something in the chat about 10 minutes ago that I kind of been staring at, which relates to this topic. Is they asked, is anyone else concerned with how easily we latch onto a narrative and get spun up? You know, and which is, and I definitely want to hear Tia's take on that question.
I'm sorry, could you repeat it again?
Is anyone else concerned with how easily we latch onto a narrative and get spun up?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I
And
always
what do we
say
do about it? Will be my question.
I definitely feel like we are in a microwave culture in terms of we want things quickly, and whatever we see, whatever we read, or whatever we hear, we just take that and we run with it, as opposed to actually doing our own research and finding
Exactly.
out, okay, what
Exactly.
exactly is this plan? Like I know for me, I'm not gonna lie, I was on Instagram and my mentee had sent me something, and as soon as I saw it about the $30 million to fund crack pipes, I was like, wait a minute, pause before I even respond, let me look this up real quick.
Hmm.
I also contacted one of my friends who's a political scientist. Like, I need to get your take on this. Like, how do I handle this? Because, like I want to make sure that before I talk to my mentee, I get my facts straight. Because if I fed into it, oh well, if it came from Miss T and this is my mentor, okay, yeah, so it must be right because she even agreed. Like we have to make sure that we do our research. We have to make sure, that's why I even had mentioned to Wally, like I think like this is something we should talk about on the channel, whether it's a recorded video or a live video, because I wanted to get that information out there. Whether you agree with Biden, you voted for Biden or not, this information is very harmful. And
Hmm.
again, especially for the, demographic of people that it's targeting. But yeah, I definitely think it's an issue.
See, my thing is people don't like a lot of people are sheep. Like you
Yeah.
said, Tia, they'll just take a headline, don't research it. And most people, not for nothing, will just go to YouTube and listen to what YouTubers have to say and stuff like this. And
Yep.
here's my thing. Even like, because like a lot of people know, like people that know me know, of course, my pops is a pastor and grew up in a, church household.
Hmm.
And times may be different, but at that time, every time you go to a church and a pastor give a sermon, they make sure to say, "Don't just listen to what I say. Go back and read the verse that I'm having given this sermon on so that you can have accurate knowledge yourself." So in other words, do
Absolutely.
your research. Don't just take my word for it. Do your research and then come up with your conclusion or what you got from this passage. And
Yep.
people don't do that. They'll just take a headline, run with it, no research, think they know what they're talking about. Now, I can understand if you do some research and since it's early in developments, you know, you get in some part of the research and then other stuff come out. That's different.
Yeah.
But for you to just make a decision based off what other people are saying and you don't take the time to do the research yourself, I'm sorry. You're a sheep. That's
Yeah.
ignorance. That's ignorance. So in other words, so to answer the question, people do your research and just stop taking headlines and run with it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. How do you feel, strategic?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of I agree with everything you said. I just think that I think it's purposeful a lot of times. Is
Oh
people are
yeah.
in they're in their bubbles, and you know, I hate Biden, and here's something that just adds to that, and it's funny, you
Yeah.
know, and I think people are just less sophisticated than we give them credit to be. You know, a lot of people just ignorant. I'm starting to realize that, you know, since
Mm-hmm.
I became a police officer. I've I saw more people trying to obtain knowledge in the prison system than I observed civilians on the streets. People are ignorant, they don't want to think too much, and they want to reinforce their views and values. You know, so when I say I don't like Biden, which I don't, I'm going off of the facts of the things that he's done historically to my community. But at the same time, I can acknowledge that when it came to helping small businesses, especially landlords and people in real estate, when he took over the COVID relief funds, he did a much better job.
Mm.
You know, I needed tens of thousands to make it through COVID as a small business owner. When it was Trump who was doing it, they sent me $1,000. $1,000. That's it. Nobody's paying rent. Nobody's paying heat. Nobody's paying none of that stuff because the governors are saying, don't pay your rent. It's all good. And then when Biden took over, everything was different. Everything was flowing. You got the help you needed as a small business person. That
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean I like Biden. That just means I acknowledge that whether it's him or the person he put in charge of that department, things started flowing better and much more differently. You know what I'm saying? So if Trump would have got a second term and things stayed the same way it was, I would have been forced to sell or be in foreclosure.
Mm.
So it is what it is, and that's not where I wanted to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So a lot of people, it's like I don't like the guy, so everything he does is wrong. When that's just not how the world works.
Yeah.
You know, we live in a nuanced. I always use that word because it's the best way to put it. We live in a nuanced world where, you know, you got to be able to acknowledge when somebody's wrong. You got to give them credit when they do right as well.
Yeah.
And in
Yeah.
this situation, I see no problem with him doing this. People say, "Oh, we can't afford us." So tax dollars inside of the thing. We blow tax dollars on all kinds of bullshit, Republican or Democrat.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
You can't please
for me-
everybody. You can't please everybody.
No.
Exactly. And you know, as Malcolm X has said, education is the passport to the future. And if we don't read, we just take our information from social media that tells you the future of our,
Exactly.
of our children.
So that's what I wanted to get on the comment that Vic said. He said, you know, we don't like to read, bro. I understand that. If you don't like to read, then you can't speak or debate people thinking you have the facts and you actually don't.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? So at that point, you sound silly.
And I want to add this one thing. Just as an education thing, I gotta get out of here. I'm getting tired.
Yeah. We gonna close it up. We gonna close it up after this.
Both of these administrations, Republican and Democrat, screwed over real estate people because what we got for relief was a loan. Has to be paid back. Every single gig worker who filed for a PPP, restaurant owner, whatever, small business owner selling widgets or whatever, doing taxes, they all got their stuff forgiven. But the people whose business you told their constituents, their customers, not to pay them,
Yeah.
you made them take a loan to survive.
Yep.
And that's Democrat and Republican that did that. There's no forgiveness for people like me. We got to pay that back. There's liens on our properties by the federal government to make sure that if you ever sell what you got, they're going to get their cut.
Wow.
So, you know, listen, you know, it's like I said, it's nuance. You know, you got to pay attention to the details and stop being sheep.
Yeah,
and stop
Absolutely.
labeling yourself Republican and Democrat. Why you got to have a
exactly,
label for?
exactly,
Absolutely.
Can't you just
exactly.
be a goddamn American? You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Absolutely. I
That's why.
personally vote for whoever has,
Yeah,
the best, whatever's going to be best for me, the future of my child, or,
Yeah.
whatever it is. That's what I look at.
that's why I hate when I hear people say, "Oh, the radical left or the rights or whatever." No,
Mm-hmm.
call it like it is. I don't care if it's Democrat, Republican. Call a spade a spade. It is what it is. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's the way I look at it. Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Because that's why you see on the channel, Educated Lady, we don't talk about Democrats, Republicans. No, we call a spade a spade. It is what
Yep.
it is.
Absolutely.
And I hate that rhetoric because, like you said earlier in the live strategy, you was like, yo, you'll hear Democrats and they won't say nothing negative about other Democrats, and they know what they're doing is messed up. Same thing with conservatives. They'll hear other conservatives say XYZ and run with it, knowing they're wrong. Defend it. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't got time
Mm.
for that, man. Call a spade a spade.
I agree with you. Rex, do you have
100%.
anything to add?
I feel like every time I add something, the conversation extends for like another 25
Yeah.
minutes.
And strategic's tired, so yeah, I
Yeah.
don't want
For
to. We
sure.
Strategic keeps
I'll save it for the next one.
lower in that seat.
and the funny thing is, and
Yo,
it's funny
strategic.
too.
When we started this, I could see your chest.
Yeah, I know,
Exactly.
right?
He's scooting lower and lower.
I'm melting, man. I'm melting.
Pretty soon we're just gonna see the headphones.
For real,
Mm.
for real. But yeah, this was definitely a great chat, man. A great
Mhm.
live. We're gonna see if YouTube is gonna age restricted or whatever. So
Oh, we dropped way too many
Probably.
bombs on this one.
So, Wally, do we have
let's see.
time to go through the chat, or we're just gonna call it a night?
Nah, we call it a night. I mean, we interacted with the chat, here and there. So we'll call it a night. Let's let Strategic get his rest. So
Yes,
Yeah, appreciate you.
we all have to get up
so
early for work
yeah,
tomorrow.
definitely hit
Sure.
that like button. Definitely subscribe to Strategic Eyes. Subscribe to Matter of Opinion. Subscribe to Rex Rule. And we appreciate you guys for hanging out with us, for this just about 2 hours.
Yes,
Hey, good night, everybody. Get your beauty rest. And yeah, that's going to be it for this live.
yes.
And
Don't forget to follow us on Facebook. Also,
yeah,
we have a Discord. Please make sure
yeah,
that you support.
exactly. And that's going to be it. We'll catch everybody on the next one. Good night and peace.
Have a good night,
Peace.
yo.